mic's up.
What? Oh. Hi, guys. This is Victoria Lewis, and this is today's edition of our dojo. So welcome in. We've got our seasoned agents. We've got Jacob here. We've got Penny, and we've got Steven. So we welcome them in, and we welcome you too. So today's topic will be AEP tactics. And when I'm talking tactics, we're talking about employer or agency tactics, client tactics, and agent tactics. I know that can have a negative connotation, so I guess we'll start with the negative stuff. What are some, and what brought this subject to the forefront of my mind was because I received an email or a blast email from an agency who will not be named, but it was an employment email, urgent hiring, life and health insurance agent, $21.75 an hour, big bucks. Basically work from home, high amount of inbound calls, assisting customers, selecting their plan, answering customer questions, building and maintaining customer relations. I thought that was interesting. $21.75. I did the math. We could do that in one day here. And this is what they're offering, what that would equate to per week. We could do it in a day. Seems like a cattle call. It says training is 5 to 7 weeks. So then you wouldn't even get onto the floor until midway or towards the tail end of AEP. So I kind of felt like that was an employer tactic, that they're just trying to, like I said, cattle call people, get as many as they can, stock up agent-wise for AEP. Experience doesn't matter. And they're throwing out the $21.75 as bait, I guess, if people want to take that. So that seems to be their tactic. What's a tactic that, Jacob, that you've seen maybe with an agency or you've heard of from other people?
What's funny is I saw there was a company on LinkedIn this morning that they offered a new position. This is an insurance company that works with Advantage plans, prescription plans, a whole lot of things. But their position was, it was like specialist Medicare, not advisor, but it was some type of onboarding specialist. I was like, okay, just reading it, I'm like, are you, is that a fancy title for T65? What's going on? But this role is the person actually, so if you enroll with company X for 10-1, they'll call you like 2 weeks after your application, be like, hi, this is Jacob with the company here. Do you know about your plan? Do you know how it works? Do you know, all this stuff there where, you would think initially for somebody reading that, wow, that's great. They're taking care of their clients. They're doing all that, where realistically we know what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever they're talking to, that person is, they're going to have that information. They're going to try to upsell them. If they're trying to make the relationship between them and the company, not them and the agent. That's what they're doing. So there's a whole bunch of different negative things going on. Right now they're just trying to attract seasonal people for seasonal work. But those seasonal people don't always work out. There's a reason they're seasonal. There's a reason they're not annual.
Right.
It's because they don't want to keep these people on. They want to come in. They want to stuff their books. They want to kick them out, hold their appointments for 6 months and then rehire them right back.
That's right. And obviously somebody who doesn't know better, $21.75 an hour is slap in the face, in my opinion. When people who know the business know that that's a way undervaluing. But I think it just speaks to, who they're targeting, people who don't know any better, people who've never been agents, people who just see that and will jump at it. So, Steven, I'm sure you've seen some agency tactics before that you weren't fond of.
Not necessarily not fond of, but, being in the world of training, I've been a trainer for a very long time. A lot of people who are looking for jobs really lean into the training aspect. They're like, 5 weeks of training. That sounds fantastic. I get paid for training. That's great. But in the end, it's worthless for both the trainee and the trainer, because as soon as you get, especially in our field, as soon as you get on the phone, because I saw it as a supervisor, when I'm receiving agents from the training, they forget everything.
Right.
It is like, I don't remember anything. Maybe they may remember a couple things here or there, but the amount, if you look at the amount of time they spent in the training compared to how prepared they are entering the field, there is a complete disparity. There's no way that that 5 weeks gave them anything of value other than some basic knowledge that they could have read on their own. So, just to kind of parlay it into what we do here, I feel that training is essential. You can't just come in here and say, best of luck. But the way that we do it is we do hands-on training. We rely on you to do some work. Like if you are very unfamiliar with Medicare, we expect you to kind of do some research on it and kind of come in and ask questions and ask your mentor, say, hey, how does this work? And then you can learn that as you're talking to people on the phone. Mm-hmm. So using a tactic as extensive training is very alluring to people who are just looking to kind of sit on their haunches and just get training because they don't have to do any work and get paid for it.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I remember when I was first hired on with my previous agency, the offer of free training was it was attractive to me because I thought, well, they're trying to recruit me for this job I know nothing about. Oh, good, I get to train and really get in-depth knowledge about it, and I get paid. This is awesome. You can't beat it. And so, but now looking back, I'm like, that was kind of just to buy us some time, so they could finish up with the next giant group of, people, and then just kind of, you can't learn it from a book. You can't learn about, insurance by reading about it. You have to jump on the phone. And I do recall that that's when I actually started learning things, is when I actually got myself out on the phone. But I see how that's attractive because it was to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's two schools of thought. You have the one person that's like, we talked about it on Friday, that person that says, I really am nervous, I'm tentative about, I'm applying my call avoidance creatively, even though it's not very creative. And I say, can I listen to calls, or can I, can you show me more about the CRM, or, and those people are just very timid. Now, some people may take a little longer and then hopefully they'll jump in. But the real true agents that are destined to make a good amount of money here are the other school of thought, where it's like, I know that Medicare is a complex insurance product. It is, government entity, it's government affiliated. And I know that it's going to be a lot of learning. But to be honest, like, I will learn a lot quicker and be more successful if I'm learning as I go. Mm-hmm. My structure is as I create it. Like, I'm going to develop my own skill set of conversational tactics. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to step back and say, okay, what did I learn today? I didn't get a sale today, but man, I got far in conversations, and I'm able to build on my own particular skill set. A lot of times, especially being a parent, you're teaching your kids and they're like, oh, I'm not good at this. It's like, well, how much effort have you put into it? Right. Well,
and they answer their own questions.
Exactly. It's like, well, see, that's why, you will get what you give.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Penny, how would you feel? So now I know that, let's back up. We don't do that. We don't do the cattle call. We're very selective about who we're picking for agents. But what if suddenly Medicare gurus hired a bunch of just people who were off the street that had no knowledge about sales or Medicare, and really didn't have any personal skills to speak of, and just sat next to you and you're working alongside with them? How would that make you feel? How would that make you feel?
I think it would be very challenging, because if I'm next to them, they would have a lot of questions. Mm-hmm. But that being said, they have to have some skills to get started. I mean, otherwise they can't navigate around and learn and apply as they're going. And I guess it depends a lot on their motivation. I think that people with the people skills, the rest they can work on and figure out and pick up as they're trained as they go, sort of. I mean, on them just through repetition. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that would be fine.
I have a question here for everybody.
Go ahead.
And it's accompanied by a story here, but I'm going to ask a question first. Has anybody, I know, shocker, right? There's a story.
Get the popcorn.
Has anybody, been on popcorn cake lately? Has anybody ever worked at one of those jobs to where they hire in 30 people a month, they train them, and then kick out 20, 25 maybe? Okay.
Yeah, I know.
So I don't talk about this a lot, but before I took this job, I worked at an internet company for 3 months. It's one that they're known for doing websites. So what they did was they came up with a new B2B sales approach, which was basically selling social media. So you're, selling off, we'll help you with your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your Instagram, your Yelp page, Google reviews. We'll help you set all that up. We'll get the marketing. We'll do tweets, text, whatever. So I took that job, and it was like, the reason I liked it is it was 100% commission. So what you sell is what you get paid, but they had a base of like $8 or so. So you made something hourly, but it was 100% of what you were selling. And the selling was between $200 to $1,000 per package.
Okay.
So if you sell $3,000 packages, that next week you're going to get paid $3,000. Okay. That's what sounded appealing to me, right? So unbeknownst to me, I didn't realize that this was one of those jobs. And I think everybody needs to go through it once. But, first day you walk in and it's you and it's 30 other people. And they're like, okay, you're the June class. And I'm like, don't like that already.
Right.
And then they go through and they're like, okay, yeah, so it's 3 weeks of training. And then we put you on the phone. And in my head, I'm like, why? We're making $8 here. And you're going to hold us in here hostage for 3 weeks without putting us on a phone?
Right. Yeah.
And we get 100% commission? What are you doing?
Bad deal.
Now, it was also one because it was I feel like everybody needs to go through it. You need to have that experience where you're like, this is so backwards on how you need to do things correctly, because they were so script oriented that if you devied off by like a sentence, if you threw in something, if you started talking about yourself, they'd be like, they don't want to hear about it.
Oh, wow.
They don't want to do that. Stick to it. This is a B2B presentation. You follow everything. Like, I remember our internet would go out like randomly, and we would have to circle up and toss the ball and do objection training and stuff like that. Basically, it's a big Kool-Aid party is what that company was. But going through that now, I can see that through any job posting that I know here. You're bringing in a crop, you're cattle calling, you're going to get everybody in, you're going to pick your 3 or 4 favorite heifers, and you're going to kick everybody out. That is.
Right.
Or what happened is you're going to set some type of guidelines on there that to where if they don't produce $3,000 a week or a month or whatever, that natural selection is going to take over and they're going to be pushed out. So really, from the tactics here, it's not anything new for what these agencies are doing when they're hiring. It's the same old bring them in, see who works out and kick them out. But it's for the people that it really matters. If you're commission based, or if you get a high percentage of commission, I mean, it sounds like this $21 an hour. I'm sure you have some type of bonus structure you have to hit. You're not going to get renewals.
Oh, no.
You're not going to get upfront commission for sales.
It didn't talk about anything about commissions. It just talked hourly.
Yeah. You're not going to. So at that point there, when you're reading it, if you are a successful agent producer, you're going to say, okay, let's see, they're paying me $21, an hour. Immediately, I would go, well, what type of selling are we actually looking at? Because if I'm not getting paid per sale and I'm just getting paid hourly, do you think that person's really going to be motivated to sell?
Well, the interesting thing is they don't even mention sales. It's just calling new clients and, selling Medicare products through specified carrier. But they really downplay the sales part of it. And I think that's intentional so that nobody's questioning, well, what about commissions? It's, they just want to talk straight hourly. Do you want to do the job or not? Somebody who's just not.
And it's remote.
They don't want to use their brain. Right. They're right.
They're advertising. They're advertising the per hour. They're not advertising the job, is what it is. You can go to Chick-fil-A because it shows where we're at Chick-fil-A. This is Saturday, and they're hiring drivers, just delivery drivers, for $20 an hour. If you're a high school kid that's working at HEB, you might be making $13, $14 an hour. Are you going to drop that for $20?
Oh,
yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
Now the gas is going down.
Yeah, with gas going down and that wage at $20 just for delivering chicken. That's it. They're attracting people with that $20 an hour, just like this position here for $21 an hour. If you're at HEB making $13 and you see this here, oh, it's $21 an hour. Oh, it's not a sales position, it's a service position. Oh, I can work from home. Okay, perfect. Let me go do that. And they're attracting all these people that have no idea what in the world their opportunities are.
But what does that tell you about them?
Oh, it's a terrible company to start.
No, not the company, but the person.
That's not the brightest.
Right.
If we get somebody in here, that's why when you're going through resumes and things like that, we kind of tell you what to look for, what's a red flag. If I see people that take jobs like that and it's a new one every 3 months, I'm like, okay, you are either falling for something or you're looking for a get rich quick scheme. You're not looking for a career. You're looking for, okay, how can I make money the quickest? And then when you hit that little thing of adversity, you're out and you move on. So it tells you more about the company itself, where if their big thing is 5 weeks of training and $21 an hour, that seems pretty good. You would think, man, this is perfect. But little do you know, those policies that you're selling, you could be making $200 to $400 on each one, and you're selling 10 a day during AEP, and you're like, man, I'm killing it here, and you get a bonus of $3,000. Well, you made them what, $4,000 that day?
Yeah, easy.
That day, $20,000 a week. That's what you're making that company. But here's your $21 and your little bonus.
But do you think that that's what these people want? They want people who don't know any better?
Oh yeah, that's what they, not necessarily a bait and switch type of deal, but that's what it seems like to me, to where they're disguising what the job is, because it doesn't say in there that you need to be a licensed agent, does it? Exactly not.
Nope.
So just like those people that we were talking about on Friday, I think I got a little heated about, they're just the ones that have their name on the application. It goes under one person, and that one person might win trips because they submit, 2,000 applications during AEP. Well, guess how many of those applications that person actually did? Probably 0.
Right.
Because it's just an agent name and it's everybody underneath it. So I don't think those people know what they're getting into. They don't know what they're being exposed. They're slaves to the $21 salary.
Right, and they're getting taken advantage of, for sure. I think it can be a little chaotic to existing agents, because I feel like in my previous agency, we had gotten to a point where they were being a little more picky with who they were bringing on. The people that were left were ones that were either seasoned agents or agents who were really in it for the right reasons and doing the right thing. And then suddenly there was this just big, huge cattle call of just any and everybody who was willing to accept the job. And it was so chaotic, and you could tell that these new agents were throwing up big numbers. And it was so concerning, because there was just no way that these new agents could be doing things the correct way, taking the time with their clients that they needed to, and doing everything by the books, by law, and still throw up that many sales. And I feel like management looked the other way because the sales were coming in. And it's just like, in some agents that had been there a long time were tempted to go to the dark side and do what these new agents were doing, and they got popped for it. And agents like myself who just stood firm and just said, I'm not going to do that, whatever they're doing, do the wrong thing just to throw up those numbers. And I resented that I had to, I'm going to do things the right way, yet I'm not being praised like these brand new agents who are probably, saying things they shouldn't be saying, and definitely leaving out things they should be saying in order just to get the sale. So that was chaotic, and it was infuriating, and it was a big turnoff for me.
What's interesting is I actually heard something this weekend. It was one of those guys that, they talk about closing, what to say. And he was like, this is my favorite close. And it's the one I'm sure we've all heard before, where it's like the fast, cheap, or easy option. Right. But to where that's what these new people that are coming in, they go, if you're talking to me about Medicare, I want a policy. Okay, well, you can have 2 of the 3, either fast, cheap, or easy. You want it fast and cheap? Here's your Advantage plan. If you want it, perfect coverage, and you want to take our time, okay, we're going to go over a supplement. But those new people like that, those new agents they're attracting, it's just fast and cheap everything. Just what can I get you in that doesn't have a premium, so I don't have to take your bank account?
Right, and that was one of the complaints at the end of the busy season. Wow, our MedSup, that production has gone way down. Like, no crud, really? Because the easiest thing, the easy, cheap thing to do is to push those Advantage plans. Because who would want to go through underwriting or even touch that when, the Advantage plan is the easiest thing to do, quickest sale. So it was, were they really shocked? I'm like, come on, guys, you guys are smarter than that. You fostered the environment for Advantage plans to be king around here. So I thought that was interesting. What's one thing you can do to avoid tactics? And actually, Brad, we were talking about tactics today, AEP tactics, and it was all in reference to what the catalyst for that was that I received an email from just an agency offering $21.75 an hour to new agents, like a cattle call. And so that we thought that was, a common tactic that agencies have during AEP to just gather a bunch of agents.
Well, they want
What
to
are
ramp
some,
up.
what are some tactics you've seen maybe from previous agencies that are probably not very kosher for AEP, or how do you think you would avoid tactics that agencies
I
try to
probably
implement?
get at least 12 emails a day, from FMOs offering different things.
And you don't fall for it?
I find them,
$21.75 an hour isn't tempting to you, Brad?
I could unsubscribe, but I find this interesting just to keep a pulse on the industry and see what's going on and what other agencies are doing. But you're correct. I mean, it's basically a cattle call for AEP. Everybody's trying to ramp up, get as many agents on the floor and slap as much up on the wall as they can. From a longevity standpoint, it's not really, who knows what's going to happen after AEP with all those people. But, it's interesting to see just the creativeness that comes through to try to get people on the hook,
Agreed. Yeah, absolutely. So what about agent tactics? What are some negative agent tactics that you've seen or maybe done yourself that you turned it around during AEP? What are some agent tactics that you've seen?
I think one thing that is pretty much imminent, you can tell right away, you can tell who coasts before AEP. You really can. And if you coast now during this time and you think, okay, I'm going to ramp it up come October, I'll make a few calls, I'll, take 10 minutes in between, show up late, all that stuff. Well, it's not AEP. Every day should be AEP for you. It really should. If you are that, you should want to be that busy. You should want to have that much business coming through. Now, does it make it a little bit easier because it's on their mind during the end of the year? Yes. But you should be that busy during the day already. If you're doing everything properly, if you're planning for the future, if you're doing your outbounding, you're doing your research, everything like that, it should be AEP every day. So I think one thing that people do now in AEP is when they coast, they can't turn it back on like they did. And when you turn it back on, it's already too late because you think, oh God, it's going to be so busy. I'm going to have so many people call me, and you run through appointments 3 days in. And then you go, oh crap, I have nobody left on my calendar. That happened a lot quicker. Well, you know why you don't have anybody on your calendar? Because you didn't call anybody in September. You didn't talk to anybody. Or if you talk to them, you're like, I'm not going to try too hard. I can't do anything right now anyway. I'll set an appointment and then I'll call them in October. And then guess what? They're not going to answer. So it's really those people that think automatically the money just turns on and it's just a switch October 15th that kill themselves.
Yeah. So you think kicking back during the September or August before is actually is detrimental to your AEP production?
I think kicking back in general during the year, especially because you have January through March, for Advantage plans. So, you can kind of drum up some business there. People get put in stuff they don't want. You have that. But really that April through September, that's when a lot of those seasonal workers go bye-bye. Their 6-month contracts get put on hold, so they can't go anywhere else or write anything new, and then they hire them right back. That 6-month window is the time where you need to start making connections for AEP. When you need to say, you know what, I can schedule an appointment for you. We can handle this in October. Well, it's April now. Call them in May. Call them in June. Call them in July. Keep that appointment, because I guarantee it, if you talk to them one time and say, okay, I'll call you in October, every person that they're going to talk to, they're going to do the exact same thing. So it's those people that, wait until the cash cow really turns on that, and you see it happen every agency where people think they're going to hit it big. Man, I'm going to cash in so much. I have so much business coming in, and you're 3 days in and you're out of stuff.
Spending that money before you make it.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I agree. And also, too, if you're kicking back during the off or the peak season, you're not realizing that actually the market is less saturated as far as competition is concerned, other agents, because I feel like agencies aren't really concentrating on beefing up their staff yet. So it's less competition. So why not call and push as hard as you can during the slower season? I think you might see that there's less pushback from people because, yeah, people are getting bombarded, but it's nothing like AEP. So, yeah, absolutely, I agree with you for sure, for sure. What are some downsides that you've seen of people who just kind of kick back during the slow seasons?
Well, kicking back, like Jacob said, any time of the year is a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
You have to keep your pedal to the metal and stay in contact with these people, your current clientele anyway. As far as new people, I mean, referrals, but generally we'll get a lot of people calling us off our websites and that sort of thing. These are all new clients, but you just have to stay active. I mean, really, yeah, we pick up a little bit during AP, but should be busy all year long.
It's what you generate.
Yeah.
Is exactly what it is.
Make your own good luck. It's, people get all over anticipated for AP. Oh yeah, AP, especially new people. AP, yeah, I'm gonna kill it. And they didn't sow the field. They're just waiting for all this business to come in, and it just doesn't work that way. It's a constant thing. January through December, really, it's the same thing for me. The only difference for me is people calling during AP look up for help with their drug plans, which is fine because that's another opportunity to sell them something else.
Mm-hmm. So you don't change anything
and
to
give
do,
them
basically.
a review on everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it's just a constant thing with the contact ratio being as low as it is. It's hard to get people on the phone. It's refreshing during AP to have them call us, people that we haven't been able to get a hold of throughout the year, but maybe we've sent them some emails and some texts just to make sure they do call us. That part is nice because let's face it, it's hard to get people on the phone these days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you're right. It's nice to be chased during AEP, but I think you shouldn't fall into the trap of expecting that during the slower season for sure.
And even during AP, it may not be that busy for you.
Mm-hmm.
You really have to set the stage for it. People get too overexcited about AEP, especially new people, and they've been told a lot of things. Oh, AEP is going to hit. We're going to be so busy. You want to, you're going to be writing all these deals. It might not be like that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to really set the stage.
Right. And there can be all kinds of reasons why an AEP might not be successful. Previous experience was for the first time, last AEP for me in my agency, it was pretty sad. And I was shocked at that, but it was because there's a marketing issue. And that's not anything the agents themselves can control. There was some kind of miscommunication with marketing, and people were not calling in. They were led to believe that if you've changed this year, you don't have to reach out. So, and they just didn't realize the wording in the marketing emails and the cards they were sending out, were being taken like that. And it really was detrimental to our AEP. So I think this sometimes, people expected, hey, it's just going to be a breeze, and were quite surprisingly shocked when they actually had to do some call outs and to kind of dig a little bit and find within themselves, think of some ideas and things like that. People were not expecting that. They were expecting that people would be beating down our doors, and that was not the case. And it was definitely a shock for sure. So
we have enough people beating down their doors,
mm-hmm.
And Medicare producing a lot of information out there, and a lot of it's some pretty good information.
Mm-hmm.
We have different battles than we had, years ago. It's a whole different game out there. There's so much information, and these people are barraged. You got these idiots on commercials, and they're confused, but they're still getting hit, and they're getting hit 10 times as much as they do during the year.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know what the answer is. I know last year our October was a little slow November, real busy for the 2 weeks that I was here.
Yeah.
It kind of goes back to what you said, Brad, when you talk about luck. You know, there's a really good line from The Office with Michael Scott where he goes, "I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious." Okay.
Yeah.
So there is a little luck involved, but when it comes to sales, you have to generate your luck. If you're not generating outbound, if you're not generating effort, if every time you talk to somebody on the phone, if you're not giving your full effort because you have a headache or you had a long weekend or you're tired, if you're not doing that, then that's not going to pay off for you in the end. So it's the people that complain when AEP gets slow, that, you know, few days in, a weekend, 2 weeks in, whatever it is, they're like, you know, they look for other things to blame, like marketing. You know, why aren't people calling it? Why aren't people calling it? Why didn't you call out
Exactly.
the months prior and you just coast because you have your contracts and your appointments and you're ready for AEP? You should be cherishing every person you talk to on the phone and every interaction you have and setting up expectations that you're going to be there to help. Because if not, if you just do that, I can't help you now, and then call them back, they aren't going to remember you. You're nothing to them. You know, you might get a few of them. Again, that's the little stitious coming in. That's the luck there. But if you're actually generating your own luck by actively outbounding, by putting in effort, by not blaming anybody else besides yourself, you're going to get a hell of a lot luckier than you would if you sit and wait. Because at that point, that is all just, you have no idea what's going on. You didn't do anything to do it. You're just waiting for somebody else's efforts to lead to your success. That's a
right.
mooch.
Or blame.
Or blame when you have
Exactly.
no success. Well, marketing was bad. Well, okay. Well, are you bad on the phone? Have you hurt yourself lately? You know, did you hear when you tried to close that? You know, this objection that you had that never comes up, but somehow it came up on that phone call and that's why you couldn't sell it? Well, there's something about that in the script that goes over it. You know, you should have overcome that objection or that concern. And so for them, it's really just, you know, when you look at hiring and kind of wrapping everything together there, you have to want to do it.
Yeah, top agents are not lucky.
No, or if people are like, man, he's so lucky he got so many referrals this month. Well, damn it, that means that he did a good job.
Right.
It's not luck.
Yeah. I was talking to, in my recruiting adventures, I talked to a couple people today, but I remember 2 candidates specifically. One gentleman had a very good resume, called him out, and you could tell right away he had a great amount of experience in sales and operations, but talk to him on the phone, no energy, just flat. And we always say, well, maybe he was tired, but it's like, you know, when you're talking to somebody and they are like, this is the first time I'm talking to somebody and your job is to sell yourself and you're not, I'm not interested in wanting to continue the conversation. I told the guy right away, I said, look, I'll be honest with you, like this is a job that, you know, we want to bring on the best of the best. And I just feel like based on your energy right now, it just doesn't seem like a good fit. And the guy was like, whoa, well, thank you for your candor. And I'm like, well, I mean, I don't want to waste your time. You know, this is not a job that you come in, and he was like trying to double back. And I'm like, I don't want to waste your time. You know, this is not a job where you're going to come in and impress me later down the road. This is, you know, right now, what is your, so he threw him away.
Because if you were a client, would you have bought from him?
Not at all.
There you go.
That's why you
I think
do
that's the litmus
recruiting and
test.
I don't.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I know within 30 seconds if I'm going to hire you or not.
Right.
That's what it is. Victoria experienced that last week where she was like, oh man, you are right. You know, within 30 seconds
Yeah.
of shaking someone's hand or talking to them, you're like, okay, this person's going to be a good fit.
Yeah. And then that's part 2. I talked to another lady. She very energetic. She was excited about getting her life and health license. She's like she just took 30 seconds to explain how her process. And I was just like, wow, you are pleasant to talk to. We had a nice conversation. I said, all right, let's do a video chat. So we're going to do, and she's like, oh, I got to run errands, but I promise you, hit me up this afternoon. So we're going to talk this afternoon, video, and we're going to, hopefully, if she's interested, bring her in. But she had a very extensive resume with sales and operations, a lot of sales support stuff. But I mean, I would buy from her, you know, and sometimes it just comes down to, you know, the work ethic. I think it could kind of come in as the backdrop of how you sound on the phone in the first 30 seconds, you know, Like you could be a pleasant person to talk to because you just enjoy life. So you probably enjoy working because you just sound very nice to talk to.
Yeah,
And that's what was
absolutely.
exciting to do.
Nobody wants to buy from Depressy Betsy. Like, they don't. You don't.
No Debbie
You don't.
Downers.
Yeah.
No Debbie
Debbie
Downers,
Downers.
no Depressed Betsy,
Yeah.
whatever it is. And, you can tell. You can tell people on the phone whenever that happens. If you sound depressed or if you sound needy or you sound like you're not there, you're doing that to yourself. There is a point of professionalism where, a lot of people can say, drop things at the door, come in, do your job. But we all know that carries with you. Mm-hmm. It's the people that can funnel that into some type of positivity. Because other people love to laugh at each other's pain because they know, okay, man, you have it worse than I do. Like the boat story. People are like, God, that must have been so bad. And I'm like, hey, I'm here.
That's true.
We're thriving. We're not surviving.
Yeah.
And people appreciate that. It was like, you have a really good outlook on that. Okay. I could have been depressed on the phone. I could have been crying.
Sure.
You think people, first off, this is a first or second call. You think people care?
Right.
No. They don't care. They don't care if you're having a bad day. They don't care if you stubbed your toe.
Right.
They don't care if your dog ran away or your boyfriend, your girlfriend broke up with you. They don't. You're the only person that cares about that. But you have to care about them first. So if I'm not bringing my 100% self on a phone call, I know it's not going anywhere immediately.
Right.
If I'm not in the right mindset, if I'm overtired or if something is going on, if you're bringing in those outside distractions and not overcoming it, then you're just doing it to yourself.
But also to add on to that, not every call, no matter how much energy you bring, is going to be perfect. But if you are on, you're going to recognize you're going to sense that this call is not going the way that you want to go. That's the call control. So you're able to sense, hey, I got all this energy or I got this balance and this person's not responding. You're able to stop and say, hey, I'm talking to you and it seems like you're not, I don't think you say you're not paying attention, but it's like, hey, you all right, man? Everything okay over there? Like you're able to not just be an automaton and just go through the motions. You're like, hey, I noticed that you're just not responding at all. Is everything okay? Like, do you have what's going on? Do you have any question? Like, you're able to recognize that.
Mm-hmm.
And then instead of saying at the end of the call, well, that person didn't want to buy. Well, that person said nothing. It was 80-20, all you.
Right.
You know?
Because if you have a good attitude yourself, you can know if for some reason they just are not communicating or it's just not going well. It's like, well, it's not me, honey. It's you. It's, you can know for sure that, hey, it wasn't because of my attitude or that I was letting something get to me, that it, if you truly have the skill set you need to sell and you're having a good attitude and approaching it from a learning standpoint, you can at least rule that out. Because, right, when you don't make a sale and the phone call has gone on quite a while, you kind of have to look inward and say, hey, well, why did that sale not to come to fruition, right? And you have to turn inward and ask yourself, and that's at least one thing you can eliminate off of the cause of it as well. It wasn't my attitude because it was sure good. So,
Yeah, one of the things I like to say, because when you get those people that like to talk about their problems in their life and they're very negative and a lot of things are going on, a lot of times they'll say, I apologize for, giving me my baggage, or I apologize for being so negative. And I say, look, I'm not your therapist. It's not my job. However, I do enjoy hearing your story because your insurance is part of your life. And my job is to make sure that your most boring part of your life is the most exciting, because moving forward, you don't have to worry about anything with the most difficult decisions that you have to make, which is your health. I don't want any issues with your health to be dealt with. I want you to deal with your personal life. I love listening to your stories because I care about you genuinely, but I also know that I want to make sure that that difficult portion of your life is absolutely taken care of. And they respect that. So they don't have to be like, those are my favorite calls when they're like, oh, I hate you, or I hate life. And it's like, hey, you weren't so bad. I appreciate you being honest with me. Those are the best, because for them to admit that over the phone is a big deal.
Right. And sometimes it's like, I'll be like, do you speak to it? It really sounds like you could benefit from a therapist as long as they take Medicare, and they'll take that in your supplement. Did you know that? And some are like, I didn't realize it. Well, let's talk about that, and I've segued a sale into that. So for sure. Yeah.
Well, people start pouring their life out on you. I mean, that's relationship building.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to that point, we strive for that, where people actually are opening up and talking about themselves and what's going on. I wanted to digress for 1 second back to AAP planning.
Mm-hmm.
And most people don't know this, but during AAP, it's mostly Advantage plans. You get somebody on an Advantage plan that's on it now. You can write them for January 1st with a Medicare supplement. There are companies that will go 6 months out, and generally the companies that are 6 months on underwriting, they extend that out. And we need to find out exactly when we can write, because companies like Mutual and Aetna, inherently they go from 60 days to 90 days, so they'll do a January 1st effective date. But in some cases, like last year, I want to say we were writing January 1st from September. And those are the people that are ahead of the game and getting the deal done. Now, if they get declined, we have plenty of time to look at it. Of course, the Advantage plan doesn't go away until January 1st, but at least you've got the thing off the books, or off the table, and you got it done before the competition comes in and waits till October 15th.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a tactic I've always used, take advantage of that, because I found that I was losing deals October 15th. And okay, I'm good. Oh yeah, we already got it done.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of agents, and we can speak to this, the majority of agents do not like speaking about Medicare supplements. They don't. There's a long process that is involved. It's not a difficult process. It's a longer process.
It's more work.
It's work.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the twofold. One is they don't like talking about it. Second, they don't know how to prepare for it. Because what happens is exactly what you said. They don't know how the system works with Medicare supplements in conjunction with Medicare Advantage plans.
Mm-hmm.
So when we are able to not only get ahead of the game, but just explain to them how it works. Like, look, you are about to get advertising and calls that the majority of that advertising and calls are going to be about Medicare Advantage plans. And I'm here to inform you that there's another side of Medicare that you don't know about. And it could be advantageous for you to be a part of that part of Medicare. Because the truth is that you have spent your entire life working, and you have spent your entire life, wanting to retire. There's this interesting thing about, there's this book that's coming out that's talking about billionaires and how, I have to look up the name of the book. I think it's Survival of the Richest, I think it's called. But what they talk about is that all these billionaires that have control of the market, all they're doing in the market is trying to create an exit strategy for themselves. All they want to do is care about themselves. Like, they're not trying to contribute to the whole society, even though they're the 1% of the 1%. They're like, I don't care about giving this. I earned this money, so I'm going to create an exit strategy. Like, for some of the billionaires, they're investing into SpaceX so they can live on Mars. But for the majority, using Bill Gates, he's one of the very few that's giving to the community with the money that he makes. But the majority of billionaires, like, most of the book is about how they're investing in their underground bunkers and how they want to have these amazing bunkers. So the truth is that these multimillionaires and billionaires are really looking out for number one. And what I say to them is, I said, there's nothing wrong with that's your mindset your whole life, is you have been raised, you have been working so you can create an exit strategy for yourself, so you can enjoy the rest of your life. You have been brainwashed to do that. You don't want to give out. You have earned that right because you've worked hard your entire life. So why would you not want to know what that looks like when you retire? Do you really want to have somebody other than yourself to dictate your own insurance when it comes to your health? I don't know what your health is, but as we continue to talk, maybe you're healthy now, but you're definitely not going to be healthy in 10 years. It's just a fact of life. So do you want a company to dictate how you are handling your own health? No, no one wants to do that. And no one is everyone is afraid to have that conversation with these people, to lead up and say, look, you have worked your entire life. Don't you want to have control of your own health insurance? Well, absolutely. Well, then what we need to do is talk about these things that no one is talking to you about. No one.
That's true.
Because they're afraid, but more importantly, they don't know how. They don't know how to say, look, do you want something that is going to take away your freedom to control your insurance? That pay stub that you saw every single month that said Medicare X amount, you've did that for X amount of years, your whole life. Don't you want to use that money? You probably do. And nobody, or the majority of Medicare recipients, are listening to these calls that are saying, get a Medicare Advantage plan because it's convenient and it's easy. No one is being that outlier that's saying, well, let's pause for a moment and talk about how Medicare really works.
Right, and that actually goes to my next question, and that was going to be for Penny. So, Penny, have you gone through an AEP yet?
Yes.
Okay, so what is your opinion of agents' tactics during AEP of just shortcutting the teaching process because it's easier just to shove them in an Advantage plan? I know people have to shorten the process, but do you agree with agents who just skip it all together and just go straight to Advantage plans? What's your opinion on that?
Well, no, I mean, because then you're taking away the choice that the person has. If they've been on an Advantage plan for a while, it may be tricky to get them through underwriting, depending, of course, on what condition their health is in. But it should be the person's option to whether they probably have never heard about it, didn't even know about a Medicare supplement plan or Medigap versus an Advantage plan. But if you don't tell them about it,
yeah, how can they know?
Yeah, how can
Yeah.
they know? And then you're removing their choice.
Yeah.
So that's as bad as being the Advantage plan company, and then they're only can use these doctors or whatever. I mean, it should be their choice. But if you skip it,
Yeah, I think when we talk about, especially in these dojos, when we talk about Med Sub versus Advantage, like we always downgrade Advantage plans. And I always come back and say, look, it's not that we are saying Medicare Advantage plans are bad.
no.
But what I'm definitely saying is the Medicare supplement is the far superior product.
Right.
If you are somebody that does not want a company to determine your future, you go with the supplement. You know, we use an Advantage plan for circumstantial situations.
And sometimes budget or
That's what I mean, circumstantial, like budgets, health. You know, I always felt like talking about high deductible plans are way more advantageous, because if you think about it, if you put someone on a high deductible plan,
right.
and then you put somebody on a dental and vision plan, they're probably going to have better coverage than someone on an Advantage plan, especially some of these Cigna plans that have way more benefits using and then a way better network. You know, a lot of these dentists are really averse to some of these Advantage plans, and it has to be like network specific, because they know that Medicare and dental, let's just using dental, they butt heads, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, as the legislature starts to move forward to incorporating dental or, you know, the ancillary into actual Medicare, I don't know what that's going to look like. I mean, you are actually going to be in a better situation having a high, if you're on the fence about budget, having a high deductible, having that deductible there in case of emergencies, and then having a dental and vision plan. I don't see why people don't do that, because it's probably scary for them to talk about numbers. You know, if it's like, if you're a client and you've had an Advantage plan your whole life and you're like, why would I pay a premium for the high deductible when I can do whatever I want? It's like, yes, that makes sense. But every year you have to check to see if your doctor's in the network. You have to check and see if your doctor's getting paid. Second, you have to see if your dentist is in the network. Second or third, you have to see, are you traveling anywhere? Are you moving anywhere outside of your own zip code? Are you visiting family members? You know, and there's so many other steps that you have to take that seems kind of backwards when you don't have to worry about that if you just pay this very, very small premium that doesn't matter to you anyways if you're dealing with your health. Because I'll wrap up at this point, and we all have dealt with this because I'm dealing with it personally. When you're talking about budget on the phone with somebody, they're like, I don't know if I can afford that budget. I don't know if I can afford that premium. Okay, I understand. But you know what? You will drain your bank account to save your own life. Or you will drain your bank account to save a family member's life. It does not matter. It does not matter at all. And that's what people forget, is that you will not care about price at all when health is on the line. If you are opened up and it's like, hey, we have a heart right here that we're going to put in your chest,
That's how they do it.
but it's going to
They
cost you.
offer it. They offer
It's
it.
very,
That's
very.
the cheap surgery.
Yeah.
Right. Do you want it or
exactly how I do
no?
it.
Yes or no? Yeah.
It's right here. It's thumping. It's thumping. We got it for you. It's going to cost you $100,000. You're like, get that in me right now.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what she said. You know, but I don't care what it costs, you know? But the problem is that they don't see that when we're talking to them. And it's our job as agents to teach them, like, that's the decisions that we have to make right now.
It comes down to creating value.
Yes.
You know, and we want the best for the client. And it could be Advantage Plan is good for them. You know, people in Florida, hey, they never move outside their village or whatever. Fine. You're still going to have those restrictions, but it's our job to create the value and let them see what's going on. And then once they hear what the value is, generally they'll want a Medicare supplement or a high deductible plan, which makes total sense if it's a financial consideration, because they don't realize the what ifs. You know, oh yeah, well, I still have Medicare cover me at my 20%. No, you don't. You know, you don't have any of that. Oh, they didn't tell me that. They said it was the same thing as a Plan F, just a zero premium. And we have some education to do there for the client, you know. But generally, that's what turns people around, somebody that's going to take the time to explain the benefits, you know, and educate them on the right way to go.
Yeah.
And give them one choice.
You still see, I just want to say something point to that. If you do the math, you look at their monthly premium plus their max deductible, it's still going to fall short of these Advantage Plans' maximum out of pockets by exponential amount. That's all I want to say. Go ahead.
Here's your teaser for tomorrow's Dojo. It's going to be me and Kim for primarily talking about the call that she had this morning, and this is just a little quick teaser. So this guy is helping his ex-wife, who is 55, and she's going on to Medicare 11-1. And we're going to talk about control of conversation and control of questions tomorrow. But I mean, this guy was all over the map, just talking all over her. He had his own numbers, he had his own things. He would just interject. And there comes a time for every agent when they have to learn, okay, look, you're not the expert. I don't care how much research you did. If I'm the expert and I tell you to shut up, I'm not being mean. I'm just saying, let me do my job and let me tell you what's going on. But it gets to the point where we talk about value here. You know, his ex-wife, she made $1,350 a month. Okay. To qualify for Medicaid in Illinois, it's under $1,870. So she qualifies for Medicaid. Okay. Wow. He knows that she's going to be on whatever plan that they pick with Medicare, if it's a supplemental plan, for the next 10 years. Okay. Because she's disabled. So before she hits 65.
She's going on a supplement?
So this is why I kept telling Kim, I was like, you need to gain control, because this is just off the rails here at this point.
Wow.
But they applied for Medicaid. Okay. It turns out that she got a letter stating that when she goes on to Medicare here in November, it's not going to cost her anything. So they're going to cover her Part B. So we're thinking, okay, we're at least at one of the higher levels, maybe not all the full copays. She's not FB, but maybe she's right. Maybe she's QMB right before that. And so this guy's like, yeah, so like they're going to pay for it and she's not going to have to pay for any health. We're like, well, no, not necessarily. We need the level. And he goes, well, let's see. Can she cancel her Medicaid app? And I just was stunned. I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, she's on Medicaid. She can't get a supplement. I go, okay. Yeah, like we know that. We know that you can't go and apply for a supplement if you're on Medicaid. They're
Depends on the level.
Or QMB.
Yeah,
correct.
Which at the minimum level, that's what she's going to be, QMB. And he was like, well, then we'll just cancel. If we get Medicaid, then we'll just cancel the Medicaid and go with the Plan N.
Wow.
And I'm like, first off, okay, you know, terrific. You see the value in the supplemental plan, but don't be stupid.
Right. You're getting free money.
You're getting free. Well, first off, you're gonna have to pay the $170.
Right.
Then you have to pay the under 65 premium for the next 10 years, which was $185. Now, if you're paying that for her, it's a little different because he had some money.
Right.
She doesn't.
Right.
So if you're just going to say, you know what, you did qualify for that thing to help you with payments, but you know what, we're not going to use it.
Yeah.
Instead you're going to have to pay, $400 or $500 out of pocket. There goes your $800. You have $800 left.
Yeah.
And that's only just prescription and health
Yeah,
coverage
and
and
anytime
Medicare.
you're under 65, there's a few states that will have decently priced Medicare supplements, and typically they're only like A and C, So, I mean, yeah, we'll talk about it tomorrow, but yeah, that guy just seemed very log jammed with information.
And that's what I kind of kept telling her to tell him was, look, this is cart before the horse.
Yeah.
Exactly what it is. You are in this fantasy land where you think everything's going to work out. First and foremost, that person's not even on the phone with us. You're doing a prelim for her. Before suggesting anything, we're going to need to make sure she's on the line. Like I'm helping one of Frank's friends, her mom, that is going through cancer treatments. And so they moved from Ohio down here to Austin. And so we're going to get her into a Plan F because, she had surgery this morning to remove a tumor.
What did she have in Ohio?
She had an Advantage plan. So she moved here. It's no longer offered. She got her term letter.
Of course,
so we're getting her into a Plan F, which is like $130 for a Plan F.
No
She's
kidding.
72
Wow.
here. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's almost perfect.
Yeah.
But with her, I'm talking to the daughter and everything just because her mom's in surgery right now. I go, look, you and me, we can go over all of this. We can pick the best plan. We can have the right thing in mind. But at the end of the day, I'm going to have to talk to your mom.
Yeah.
We can't do this without her. So that's what I told Kim. Eventually, sure, I can tell you, I can give you every suggestion you want. I can lend my hand out. I can tell you whatever it is. But at the end of the day, we're going to have to talk to her and see what she wants. Because if you rip away $500 free from this lady, she might just say, go screw yourself. There's a reason we're divorced. I don't want your help.
Right, that might be why, because he does stupid things like that.
Exactly.
Or they could be hiding something, which I think getting her on the phone, the jig will be up. I feel like
that sounds more what I'm thinking.
something's going on.
Yeah, they need to investigate more.
If y'all want to smile before we wrap something up, I think y'all might have heard me do this, but somebody sent us an email. So I don't know how this guy got put on the birthday email list, but he got put on the birthday email. And so he went to the email and he clicked and went on the website. And he sent an email back in and goes, why do I have to put in my email address and my phone number to get a quote on your website? And I said, well, Andrew's like, do you want to respond to it? I go, let me take a shot at it. I go, well, first and foremost, if you give the milk away for free, people are never going to buy the cow.
Right. 101.
If you are an active broker, don't just be throwing rates out there because then people don't need you. They just want the rates to look and then go to the individual company. So I started the milk and cow thing. Then at the very end, I go, well, you know what? If you want to go look at each company, I can print you off a list of who offers in the state. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to go to their website and what do their rates require? Your phone number and your email. So it's going to happen no matter where you go. It just depends on the person that helps you. That's it. So I thought that was I got a kick out of that one. They haven't replied yet.
Oh,
I was a little sassy this morning.
yeah, I hear you talking with Kim. That guy seemed like a real treat.
Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow.
Nice.
Also, because people buy things and they have no clue what it is.
Mhm.
They just say, oh, it's a supplement. Okay, I'll buy it. You need somebody to explain it.
Or if it's like an introductory rate type of company, like the example I was using on that guy, where it's like, sure, somebody can come in where it's $185, come in at $100 for a plan in. You can say, man, that looks great. I want to buy that. And then you buy it, and in 2 years, it's $350.
Well, that's the thing. You get the information, you see the plan. What are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
Where do you go from there? You call the insurance company, you get put on hold for 45 minutes, and you get bounced around, and you don't have the opportunity to shop, really.
Mm-hmm. That's just like we were in Illinois, and the guy was like, well, I know Blue Cross has a really good, I know them, I know who they are. And then I had to be like, hold on. You don't know how Blue Cross works in Illinois.
Yeah.
Blue Cross is everybody's plan B. That's not your plan A.
Yeah.
That's eventually going to be your plan B, but it's not your first one.
You can't put that in a quote. You can't put, all that stuff to be on the lookout for in a quote. on a piece of paper.
Or in sentences in an email.
Right.
Yeah.
It has to be an in-depth discussion, and that's
Good
also
one to have.
why. Yeah,
That's why we're chatting about it tomorrow
Nice.
exactly.
in the dojo.
Wonderful.
Love it.
Yeah, well, I think we listed a lot of things that a lot of negative tactics from everybody, and it's kind of put everybody on notice and explains a lot. So I think that's a good place to end. So this is Victoria Lewis, and say hi to your mom for me.